What up, everybody? Once again, this is Pax Jiidaika. I'm back here to discuss Ath Shalom. Okay, Ath Shalom is a special holiday that leads up to our highest holiday, short of Yom HaShabta, the day of rest, and the whole nine, and that would be Pax Jiidaika itself, which happens on December 26th, and the whole nine and everything like that. Now, what we do leading up to Ath Shalom or Pax Jiidaika in English in the whole nine is that we remember and we celebrate each of the steps involved in the Jiidaika, which is the work that is required for us Negroes to get back to not only Yahweh, but back to our heritage and back to our land and the whole nine and everything like that. And then on to some things in the future that are even more exciting and whatnot. So let me go ahead and go through these steps real quick. And by the way, this what is written on the screen says, Hawad wa la ibda la Yahweh ath shalom Yahajakwa. Glory to the servant belonging to Yahweh. Ath shalom Yahajakwa. Pax Jiidaika. Because Pax Jiidaika is the servant of Yahweh. Now, anywho, the vision for us, once again, is the Pax, okay? To achieve peace for all mankind through Yahweh ruling over Yasharal, whole Negroes, and whole Negroes having supremacy and ruling over all the other peoples on the earth, blessing them by doing so, not by oppressing them, but by blessing them, okay? To achieve this, there is work that is required, and this work is called the Jiidaika, okay? Hence the other half of the name Pax Jiidaika. Now, there are technically 14 steps that are involved and whatnot in this process and the whole nine. The first step, of course, is for Negroes to only be serving Yahweh. That is step one. Can't be serving false gods like Yahuwah, the Most High, Jesus Christ, Yahweh Shai, or Yao-O, or any other weird-ass god or weird-ass name. You must be, Negroes, you must be calling on and only worshiping Yahweh, okay? And don't shorten his name and say Yahweh and then slap some crazy-ass false god's name on there with it. Yahweh, bah, bum, bah, 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 bah. That's nonsense. Only serve Yahweh. That is the 0th step before all the other steps, okay? Now, the next step after that is called Al Lashon. Okay, so the first step was, of course, Ath Ha Yahweh, to serve, Ibda, or excuse me, Ibad Ath Yahweh. That is the first step and the whole nine and everything, the 0th step before any of the other steps. The actual first step after that is called Al Lashon. Lashon means a tongue, like a tongue in your mouth in the whole nine. And a tongue also means a language. So the next thing we have to do is we need to learn to Hadabar ba Yahawajata, to speak in the language of our people, of our ancestors, and the whole nine and everything like that, to speak the Lashawan Kodash. Okay. The next step after that, okay, is Al Thartha. Okay. Thartha basically means laws. Okay. So we need to learn our language so we can reread our laws in the original language they were written in Yahawajata, in the Lashawan Kodash, so we can learn to follow the ones that are applicable today in the whole nine. And and we'll go from there. So yeah, to follow the ones that are applicable today, to store the ones that are conditional in the whole nine and everything, and also to do away with ones that are obsolete, and to create new laws for the new things that we're dealing with right now here in this day and age. I had to think about that for a moment. Sorry about the pause. Anywho, the next step after that is we have to restore the institutions of Yasharal, starting with the four basic ones. And the first one is, of course, service to Yahweh, our God, and only Yahweh. Okay. And then the next thing is to reestablish the man as the head of his family. Okay. As the head of society. And then his woman, his wife, supporting him. And then after those two, then come the children in submission to their parents, learning to repeat this process and the whole nine and everything like that. Those are the major institutions that all the other institutions of Yasharal will be built off of, but they have to be restored. And that step in the Jiidaika, the plan for Yasharal's future, is called Al Akakwa Tha. And Akakwa, by the way, means like providing a solution to a problem. Anywho, the next step after that is called Al Izab. Okay, Izab means to abandon. So this is pertaining to, and by the way, all means pertaining to in this particular case. So Al Izab, okay, what does that mean? It means we need to abandon the usage of things, products, and services belonging to or made by Goyim. And we need to make our own products and services, sell them to amongst ourselves, and also sell them to the Goyim as well, to non-Negroes as well in the whole nine. So we start making the products and the services. Why? Okay, because of the next step, which is called Al Shakar. Shakar means a reward. Okay, Al Shakar involves making money. Okay, so we need to create our own products and services. Al Izab, stop using other people's products and services, make our own. To do what? To make money. Al Shakar is what that step is. Okay. And then what's the next step after that? Well, the whole purpose of Al Izab and Al Shakar is to get to the next step, which is Al Ka'akash. Ka'akash means submission. Okay. Now, what we want to do is we want to cause the legislators, lawmakers, the people who run things to be in submission to us, Yashar Al. How will we get them to do that? Okay. We'll get them to do that by lobbying them with the money that we made from making our own products and services and selling them to the world in the whole nine, so that they will then be in submission to us and make laws that favor us and things that we want to see done, that will favor the Pax, that will advance the Pax, this vision, the vision of Yahweh for Negroes. Okay, now the next step after that will be what? Al Basra. Okay, Basra means news, tidings, or news and whatnot. So it basically is referring to the media. So Al Basra has to do with taking over the media. How? By buying it up, by creating new media and whatnot, et cetera, et cetera. Why? So that way we can put out messages that favor us. In other words, we can put out propaganda for ourselves that favors us and favors our cause and what we're working towards to get others to join in and support it as well in the whole nine, and to change our image and cause us to be looked at favorably by the public at large. Anywho, the next step after that is called Al Madai. Madai means to learn. Okay, so this has to do with education. Now, you can make gains by making or putting out good propaganda, good media about yourself, media meaning like movies, television, news, and things of that nature that make you look good. But it can be forgotten over time unless you make it permanent through the education system. So that's the next thing that we Negroes would have to end up taking over. And we would take this over by providing teachers and creating schools and buying schools and hiring teachers who would teach the information that we want put out, that would make the gains that we have made through the media and propaganda that we put out in Al Basra permanent. Okay. Now, the next step after that, and that's important because, you know, with the educational system, you're educating children, and these children will get these beliefs put into them. They'll become permanent. So when they become older, they'll hold to these beliefs that favor us, okay, in their hearts and whatnot. Not only our children, but also the children of the Goyim as well. Now, the next step after Al Madai is called Al Kayar. Kayar means to recognize something. Okay, so Kayar is about the world being made to recognize who we are, to understand that we are not niggers. Oh, okay, presently we are, okay, meaning people who have no history, no culture, no name, no language. We don't know where we come from. No one knows where we come from, et cetera, in the whole nine. We have no origins, right? But that is not who we truly are. We Negroes truly are the descendants of the ancient Hebrews who were punished and scattered throughout the nations in the whole nine, being or having been cut off from our culture, our history, the knowledge of who we are as a punishment upon us because of what our ancestors did, which was what? Abandoning the very first step in this process, which is to only serve Yahweh and no other God. And as a result of this, the whole world was made to forget who we are. And we're viewed as a bunch of Cabbage Patch Kids that just popped up on a slave plantation somewhere in South Carolina and the whole nine. And that's where we come from, just straight out of the ground and the whole nine, instead of